All right, let's talk about the hotel chains. The great debate really just depends on who you kind of stay with the most. But I kind of want to break down what it means in terms of utilizing points and why it doesn't necessarily make sense to transfer points into Marriott or Hilton, um, and why I think Hyatt has the best really loyalty program to the individuals that have status with them. But also, I think it's the best value in terms of utilizing points. So you can use Chase points or Built points to transfer into Hyatt, and I'm going to show you how. Or I'm going to show you, what that looks like, but I want to break down the point stuff. And I'm not going to go too crazy, right? If you look up points and the value of, what Marriott points and Hilton points and Hyatt points are worth, it's going to come up with, 1.5 or zero point 0.7 or zero point 0.5. I want to make this simple in terms of using points because most of the time people will get American Express cards or Chase cards, and we want to make it as simple as possible initially. If you want to dive into it deeper, you can, but this is just to let it make sense and let it hit. So for one, with Hilton, or first of all, Marriott has they have the largest footprint in the world, so they have the most locations, they have the most hotels. I'm going to show you guys like a US based kind of redemption versus a international redemption, so we'll do that. But Marriott is the largest, then it is Hilton, then it is Hyatt. So that's why I'm looking at the Hyatt map here because they have the least amount of locations. That's kind of one downside to it. But I will say I do have Globalist with Hyatt. So yes, I'm a little biased on that side. And some people are a little more biased towards Marriott or Hilton, mainly because you are biased towards one because you stay with them a lot or you earn points from staying with them a lot. So it is helpful. And then you can earn status. Now, what I do want to say is Hilton, pretty much you can get the highest status with Hilton by just getting a card. Their highest annual fee card will allow you the highest diamond status with Hilton, which will get you, the breakfast and the room upgrade. So the thing with that is everyone has access to it. So upgrades do not really happen much because a lot of people stay at Hilton's. A lot of businesses have, relationships with Hilton along with Marriott, right? They're the two largest chains. So when you do go to these places and you do have status, you likely won't get, upgraded to the extent that they will at Hyatt. And that's what I really like Hyatt because with globalist status, they really treat their members really highly and it's not completely saturated. I've never not been upgraded at a Hyatt, but there are people that travel even more and said that, more people have globalists now, but at the same time, right, the same thing happens at Hilton. You're not going to get the best upgrades. You might get one room upgrade from like a double queen to a king bed room or something like that, but you won't get like these crazy upgrades unless you're kind of doing international travel. That's where you get some better upgrades in terms of all of the all of the hotel chains, and you get even more value there. But this is what I'm going to break down. I want to break down kind of what the redemption looks like first of all. So I did choose Denver. This one, oddly, like Hilton doesn't have much stuff with Denver. Now, this is what I want to point out. So this says 50,000 points, and I guarantee you once you hit into this, and you can check at the cash price. So I want to explain that we are going to look at it as one-to-one. So 50,000 points, I want to make it easy on you guys. 50,000 points is going to be like $500 worth. So this is how we're going to break it down. Cash price versus points price. So all these say 50. I bet you when I go in here, if I do that, they will actually show like different points prices, but I do want to show you the cash price. $244. So you're essentially getting less than 1 cent per point. You're getting 0.5, you're getting 50 cents per point. So not a good deal because it's $244 a night. You're better off paying cash than like transferring points into it. But if you have Hilton points, not a bad idea because you can earn multipliers by spending with Hilton, or if you earn points with staying with them, good. But this is more of an explanation of why it isn't necessarily the greatest thing to transfer your American Express or Chase points into these systems. So 50 cents per point, same exact scenario, even, a little bit better value, but still 50 cents per point, less than 50 cents per point because it's $200 a night. And these are pretty average hotels, to be completely honest. Like they're not a part of really much of their collections. I mean, that's a pretty nice photo there. But it's not, it's rated 4 to 5, 4 to 5, 4 to 5. And I don't know why this Hilton Fort Collins, maybe because it's in Fort Collins, is so expensive. But I guess technically you would be getting, if that's 50,000 points, you would be getting a 1 cent per point value. But I still would not consider it valuable there to transfer. You want to kind of stay over 2 cents per point with hotels, unless you know that you're going to, get a really good upgrade. Now let's check in here real quick. Now it is actually pretty standard 50,000, but as you see, even like this queen now all of a sudden goes up. This premium room goes up to 103,000. Crazy bad redemption if you're going to transfer in. 100,000 points is quite a bit. Hilton is really expensive. Look at the Hawaii stuff on Hilton. It's crazy. So that is an example of Hilton. It doesn't necessarily make sense in terms of points with Hilton to transfer in because you'd be getting way less value out of it. You'd actually, if you didn't really have status, you could book through the Sapphire Reserve portal and, for $244, you could get it for, less than 20,000 points. Let's take a look at Marriott. Marriott in Denver. So like I said, we're checking out Denver for all of them. 50,000 points, $200, same scenario. One less than, 50 cents per point. And that's a very standard, like standard one. What you want to do is you kind of want to find options that have good points value, but it also is like a little bit better hotel. But as you can see with Marriott, 91,000 points, $309. That's like $910 of points if you were to transfer into it to get a $300 a night room. Not really worth it. La Meridians are usually pretty good. Not really rated very well there. But $270, 82,000 points, $820 or $270, you're better off paying cash. So the reason I want to point this out, and like a lot of these are going to be, this is the thing with Marriott and Hilton, a lot of them, the points required are going to be so much higher than the actual cash value. Sometimes you might find something that's like $350 and it might be 35,000 points, and there might be a transfer bonus that might make sense, but it's pretty rare in their systems. So that's why I want to point that out. Like even this $100 a night, the Courtyard, a very basic hotel, 55,000 points. It's crazy. Still, it doesn't make sense. 111. You're better off just paying the cash price because the points value and transferring into it just doesn't make sense. Now, in terms of Marriott, right? I did want to point this out. Like you can get Marriott Platinum Elite status with the Brilliant card right here, or the Bonvoy Platinum Elite. You can get Platinum Elite status with the American Express Brilliant card, but that's a $650 annual fee with that. Now you can get Hilton Gold, and you can get Hilton Gold with the Platinum card, and with Platinum Elite, same thing. You get some enhanced room upgrades, and you get free breakfast. But those room upgrades are kind of a dime a dozen, depending on where you're staying, if it's busy, and because so many people stay at Marriott's. Now there are some ways to actually get higher status, which is if you have a personal card and a business card, they give you kind of elite night credits. As you can see, you can get 25 elite night credits, and you get that with the platinum or with the Brilliant card, and then you can get a personal card that gives you 15. So that way you're 40 nights from hitting the 70 nights, I believe it is, qualifying nights. So if you do travel for business, or you do travel for quite a bit in general, and you stay with Marriott's, right, it won't be that hard if you're, traveling or staying in hotels 30, 40 nights to get, Platinum Elite status with Marriott. So that's something to recognize if you like Marriott, right? They have a lot, like Marriott is really good, but a lot of people don't tell you as well, is a lot of people have things called MMP passes, which is basically like employee passes. And that is how you really get some upgrades, and how you can pay it might be $400 a night for that hotel, and then you only have to pay, 115, and then you have status and you stack that with that, and then you get upgrades from there. So it ends up being really, really cheap. For individuals, you get 60, 70% off. That's something that most people don't mention. But now let's jump into Hyatt. This is the bread and butter. And what I want to point out is basically they have, right, all of the hotel systems have different tiers. Like Hyatt is 1 through 7. And basically their basic, let's see if they have any basic, level 1 stays. So yeah, usually they're between 5 or 3.5 and 5,000 for level 1, and level 2 is 8. So as you can see, even then you can stay at a Hyatt house, which is a pretty nice, standard, hotel for 8,000 points, and it costs $212. So $80 for a $212 stay, right? You're almost getting 3 cents per point on that as well. It's even a Hyatt Place, same exact thing. Hyatt Place, Hyatt House. Hyatt House is a little bit nicer than Hyatt Place. $132 a night. You're still getting more value, but you're still better off paying cash there if you would like. But one thing that I want to touch on too is, I believe I saw a Hyatt, like Hyatt Regencies are usually pretty nice. They usually give you some upgrades, and they usually have lounge options as well. I thought there was a Grand Hyatt. Grand Hyatts are nice, especially when you're going international. So I thought I saw a Grand Hyatt on here. Right here. So this would be an option where, this is a little bit higher end chain of the Hyatt ecosystem at 12,000 points for $350. You're almost getting 3 cents per point on that. So as you can tell, right, and you can transfer your Chase points in there and get 3 times the value out of those points, $120 worth of points for a $350 room night. It just makes it more simpler, because when you look at these 50,000 points and you look at these at 70 to 80,000 points, right, it isn't necessarily worth it for you to transfer Chase and Hyatt points in there. So from there, let's jump into more of an international look. All right, so we are going to choose one of my favorite cities, one that I lived in for a while, Barcelona, as the international one. And surprisingly, again, Hilton doesn't have that many locations, so maybe I'm just choosing bad cities for this. But Barcelona, as you can see, right now, this one is basically 2 cents per point. This Regency Hyatt Regency Barcelona Tower. But me knowing Barcelona, this is just kind of out of the way. So this is probably isn't one that you want to stay in. But even in this scenario, like if you have status, it could make sense to book these ones in the city center, right? An international trip is worth it. You know what I mean? If you get upgraded to better rooms, then that $500 a night can turn to $1,000 a night. So if you have status, you can kind of bank on that, especially when you've gotten upgrades in the past. Now, even this one, 23,000. So like 29,000. So none of these are over 2 cents per point, but the value of it would be if you got upgraded. Same scenario would be with the other hotels, but I'm going to explain why. Like this might make sense to stay at a really nice hotel so you don't, $290 a night, 23,000 points. You're probably better off just paying cash for that and hoping for an upgrade. But still, like if you want to utilize the points that you have for a nice trip and you have some status, it can obviously still make sense with the points, right? $230 worth of points for a $370 a night room. And then getting an upgrade could be $500 or $700 a night room. There you go. So I wanted to do Hyatt first there. Now, this is where it gets crazy because some of the international stuff with Marriott and Hilton are just absurd. 128,000 points for just a normal and out of the way, a little bit out of the city, Hilton Barcelona. Not really like a standard collection, but honestly, that looks kind of cool though. Looks pretty nice. But 128,000 points. You don't want to utilize $1,200, $1,300 worth of points to transfer into Hyatt to then stay at a hotel that is, let's check, 361. So you're getting 25 cents per point. This one's 639, 428,000 points. That's crazy. That would not be worth it. The amount of one-way round trip tickets that you could get just in first class, business class for this many points. You don't want to waste those types of points. And let's bring in Marriott, right? I mean, this is pretty cool. La Meridian, 329 euros a night in the Gothic Center, beautiful area, but 153,000 points. So you don't want to transfer your points into that. That is a waste of $1,500 worth of points when you can, just pay $1,500 and stay there for 5 nights. I heard the additions are really, really awesome, but I mean, look, $465 a night, but insane amount of points required, 227,000. So it really only makes sense to earn points within your credit cards that you have with Hilton or Marriott if you're going to stay with Hilton or Marriott, because there are multipliers. You can literally get 15 to 20 to 25 times the amount of points on what you spend on like with Hilton. So if you're spending a lot of nights with Hilton or Marriott, it's just good to rack up points off of those stays and then using your card when you're on the property. Now, if you're going to utilize your points with Chase for Hyatt, right, make sure to utilize them with Hyatt, because as you can see, the value in terms of points, like I said, I want to make it easy for you. It just doesn't make sense to waste your points on that because you can get way more value later. So I know that was kind of a strung out long video on it. I probably could explain that in a few minutes, but I just wanted to show kind of like the searching involved with each of the hotel partners and really just give you like a guide in terms of the points and how I would look at them initially in terms of one-to-one value. So for Hilton and Marriott, like I said, just earn them through their system and utilize them through their system instead of transferring. Or Hyatt, it still makes sense at times to transfer. And it always helps if you, of course, have status. So hopefully that helps you guys. If you want to continue learning this stuff, you can always join the free school community, trying to provide value to those who want to learn and continue to be pointed in the right direction in terms of travel hacking, credit, finance, and really just a way for all of us to connect and collaborate further. So I'm excited to see you guys in there, and I'll see you on the tube next time.